Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be recapping my round 4 game that I played in the Lina Grumette Memorial. Now going to this game, I was at 2 out of 3 and in the 4th round I'm playing a 1927 rated player. So let's get on with the game. So he played the Carol Khan defense, I went d4, d5, and I played the advanced variation with e5. Now there are a couple moves you could do here. He went bishop f5, which is the most common one. You could also play this move c5, but I'm not going to dive deep into that now because there's a lot of variations in that. So after bishop f5, I played this move h4, which is a little bit more on the aggressive side. But the point is to go g4 in the future and try to advance your pawns on the king side to gain space. He goes h5, stopping that plan, and now he goes c4, e6, knight c3, and you could do a few things here. For one example, you could go knight e7, but that could give up this crucial score on g5. But he went knight d7 here, and the main line is you take the pawn d5. So he takes d5, and now bishop d3, looking to trade off the bishops. He goes knight to e7, protecting the bishop on f5. So if I traded, knight takes f5, and the knight would be really, really nice on this one square. But after knight e7, I go bishop g5, and I pin the knight to the queen. And now the threat is I'm just going to take the bishop and take the pawn. So just for an example, if you just go to random move like a6, I could go bishop f5, e takes f5, and knight takes d5. And he can't actually take the knight because I win the queen. So after bishop g5, he finally trades off the bishops and goes queen to b6. Now queen to b6 is a move a lot of players do, and the point is it attacks the pawn on b2. But I just go knight ge2 here, and these pawns in this variation, the b2 pawn or b7 pawns, they're usually poisoned pawns whenever you can take them. Just to give an example, after queen takes b2, there's this move rook b1, queen a3, and rook takes b7. And with the queen out of place, not really a lot of development, and a threat like queen b5 coming in, I am basically winning here. So after knight ge2, he goes pawn a6 here, recognizing that I have a potential threat of going knight to b5 in the future, getting my knight to d6. But after a6, I go castle my king, and now he goes knight to c6. And here I start to think for like 20 minutes here, and the reason why I'm thinking for a little bit is because I see this move that catches my eye, and that move is knight takes d5. And you might be thinking, well, that just sacrifices a knight, because he can just take. But the point is, after this, I can now push my pawn forward to e6, and if f takes e6, it's actually a huge blunder due to queen g6 checkmate. And after e6, he has this only move knight to f6. So now I can take king takes f7 and this move knight f4, getting my queen to g6. But I saw after queen takes d4, queen g6, king g8, that I didn't really have a very successful attack here. So after knight f6, I was calculating knight f4 first. The point is, after queen takes d4, I can slide my queen to h3, which is actually not a bad move here. I have a slight advantage here because I'm threatening ef7. And after like a lot of complicated moves, I end up with a slight advantage. But I didn't want to go through with this because I didn't see like a concrete way to win, and there was no use spending all of that time not to find a concrete win. So I just go rook fe1, developing my rook and preparing for some sort of knight takes d5, e6 coming in the future, so now my rook would be on the e file, at least doing something. After rook fe1, he goes bishop e7, looking to trade off the bishops, and once again, I actually did have this move knight takes d5 here, e d5, e6. The point is, after knight f6, take, knight f4, and after queen takes d4, I do have queen. It's actually losing because I do have queen g6 check, king g8, knight e6, and I'm threatening queen d7 checkmate and winning the queen. But I didn't see all of that, and after bishop e7, I just decided to trade off the bishops, knight e7, and go rook ac1, and I go rook ac1 just to try to take control of the c file. Maybe I could go knight a4 in the future, get my rook to c7. I thought I liked our position. It was a pretty solid position, and I thought, okay, he should just go castles. Maybe after knight f4, maybe he could go knight. Actually, no, he can't because of knight d5. Maybe he could go g6, and then I could try to get something with g4. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe just go knight a4 and knight c5. I had a lot of ideas here in the position, but he makes the unfortunate move knight to f5 here, which is a really solid move if you think about it. He's attacking h4, he's putting pressure in the center. It's a really good knight here, but unfortunately he missed this one move. Knight f5 is actually a blunder, and you can pause the video if you want to try and find it. After knight f5, I actually have this very strong move, knight takes d5, and after e5, it removes the defender of the f5 knight, so now I can just take it, and now I'm up a pawn. And it's actually a little bit worse than just being up a pawn. This pawn is now really weak, and I have threats like e6 looming in the corner, and he can't just go queen e6 trying to stop it. Clever takes, rook c7. My rook will now be on the 7th rank, combined with knight f4, it's just a losing position. So after queen takes f5, he goes g6. I move back my queen, and he goes knight f8. And now he's trying to put his knight to e6 and try to come up with some sort of fortress to just hold the position for a little while. But after knight f4, I'm attacking this pawn d5, so he has to spend a move defending it, which he does with rook to d8. And then now I have this really strong move. You can once again pause the video to try to find out. And the move here is actually just e6. I'm coming through. If he tries to just go f5 and try to close the position, I actually have this move e7, which is forking the knight on f8 and the rook on d8, which is just winning the game. And after e6, he takes. If he takes, which is what he does in the game, I can take this pawn on g6, which is originally what I thought I would do. But after rook g8, I saw this, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely winning here. This is definitely winning here, but I saw a much more cooler knockout blow, which is actually knight takes e6. You might be thinking that just sacks the knight once again, but the point is after this, there's queen takes g6 check. If he goes king f8, I can just take the knight, and this is a crushing attack for white. If he goes king e7 in the game, but if he goes king d7, which is the other move, I can actually go queen f7 check. He cannot go to the c file, which actually makes his rook really key in this attack. And after king d6, queen takes e6 checkmate. That's just checkmate, yeah. And if he goes king e7, I go queen g7 check. He can't take the knight. That's not a bug in the chess.com system because it's a pin. And after king d6, the only move here. If he goes king e8, I can just take the rook with check. And the point is after king d6, I have this move rook takes e6, a really powerful move. And actually after this, he resigns the game. And the point is, if he goes king takes e6, I go queen to g6, skewering the king to the queen. So now I currently stood at 3 out of 4 in this point in the tournament. This was a really short game, only lasted 24 moves, but there are a lot of like instructive points here, like how to play maybe this specific variation of this Caro-Kann opening, where you take and go bishop d3, and then realizing that after knight g2, knight ge2, queen takes b2, that's actually like a poisoned pawn. You never want to take those in that variation, and not going knight takes d5 right away and being too rash, and just trying to like slowly build up your position. And eventually it worked. Unfortunately, he made this move knight f5, which is a blunder. I think if he hadn't made this move, this would have gone on for like a little bit longer, and this would have been a very solid game. Had I won this, it would have been a lot more tougher, obviously, but yeah, I still give props for my opponent trying to defend, but unfortunately, it was just too little too late. The blunder was a little bit too decisive, and I found this nice little variation to end the game. So yeah, I currently set 3 out of 4, and yeah, my next video will be my round 5 recap. That may not be as exciting, just letting you know. So yeah, that's all for today, and I hope you all enjoy the video. Goodbye, everyone.